Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Farah Ayuni binti Ismail. My matric number is 90 BB03 Today I'm going to present the topic of poverty. First, we need to know what the definition of the title is that I'm going to present. So I will explain a little bit about what poverty is. Okay, poverty is a condition or situation where a person or community lacks financial resources and the need for a minimum standard of living. Poverty also means that the level of income earned from employment is so low that basic human needs cannot be met. Okay, kat sini kemiskinan merupakan satu keadaan di mana seseorang itu ataupun komuniti itu yang kekurangan sumber keuangan dan juga keperluan untuk menikmati taraf hidup yang minimum. Selain itu, kemiskinan juga bermaksud bahawa tahap pendapatan yang diperoleh dari sesuatu pekerjaan sangatlah rendah sehingga manusia tidak dapat memenuhi keperluan asas. Okay, next I'm going to share some effects of poverty experience by those who are at that stage. First, they may not have access to shelter, clean water, healthy food and adequate medical care to continue surviving. Okay, kat sini mereka yang berada di bawah tahap kemiskinan ini akan mengalami keadaan seperti tersebut di mana mereka tidak akan memiliki akses ke tempat tinggal, tidak akan mendapatkan air yang bersih, tidak akan mendapatkan makanan yang sihat dan juga rawatan perubatan yang mencukupi untuk terus bertahan kerana mereka tidak memperoleh pendapatan yang mencukupi. The third is lack of education. There is a direct correlation between low academic performance and poverty. Children who are exposed to extreme level of poverty have difficulty with cognitive development, speech and managing stress, which leads to adverse behavior. Okey, seterusnya ialah apabila sesebuah keluarga berada di situasi kemiskinan, sudah tentu anak-anak mereka akan menghadapi kekurangan pendidikan. Kanak-kanak yang terdedah dengan kemiskinan yang sangat dahsyat akan menyebabkan mereka mengalami kesukaran dalam bertutur, dalam mengawal tekanan dan semua itu mendorong mereka ke arah sikap yang tidak baik kerana mereka tidak dididik dengan betul. Okay, next I will tell you about types of poverty. There are two types of poverty, which is absolute poverty and relative poverty. Absolute poverty refers to the situation of a person or household that does not have the minimum income required to meet the minimum living needs to be used for a long time of period. Okay, when a person is below this threshold, their survival also will be threatened. Okay, apabila seseorang berada di bawah ambang kemiskinan ini, maka kelangsungan hidup mereka juga akan terancam. Okay, absolute poverty compares household based on set income level, and this level varies from one country to another depending on the overall economic situation. Okay, the second types of poverty is relative poverty. Okay, relative poverty is a level of poverty that changes based on context. This is relative to the economic climate. It considers relative poverty when household earn 60% of the average household income in their own economy. This type of poverty, on the other hand, can change depending on the economic growth of the country. Even if they have a certain amount of money, there's still not enough to buy something on the basis. Relative poverty is also sometimes described as relative deprivation because people who belong to this category is not live in total poverty. Okay, we move to the next slide. The last part that I will tell is the relationship between poverty and gender. Studies on poverty from a gender perspective have become very important beginning in the 1990. Okay, gender differences in income play an important role in women's poverty. But there are also other factors such as gender differences in land and poverty ownership. Gender division of labor, gender division of labor in and out of the home, gender differences in power and decision making, and women's vulnerability to gender based violence is also important for understanding the complex problem of gender imbalance in different time and places. Okay, next, the lack of time and manpower between women and men. Okay, women are exposed to time poverty because of many labor burdens, which are mostly unpaid and underpaid. Okay, and which greatly affect their scope to get out of poverty by engage in activities with higher returns. Furthermore, there is a very critical need for men and women to participate in poverty reduction initiative, both politically and practically. Without involving any men in policies and projects to reduce poverty, unpaid women labour will continue to be used in response to poor or non-existent welfare states and only add to burden they bear. Okay, next is considering time and manpower are things that women often to do bear the brunt of tackling poverty. Okay, it can be said that it is important to acknowledge the dangers of feminization of responsibility and or obligation, because the gender dimension of everyday life and people livelihoods tend to be marginalized in official statistical assessment of poverty. Okay, the extent to which gender poverty remains unprecedented and poorly addressed through policy intervention. Okay, that's all from me.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Syahada binti Abdullah, matrix number 19BB03 So I'm gonna go to the next question, which is define population and population growth. So what is really a population? Population refers to any collection of specific groups of human beings or of non-human entities such as objects, educational institutions, time units, geographical areas, prices of wheat or salaries drawn by individuals. So some statisticians call it the universe. And for the population growth refers to change in the size of a population, which can be either positive or negative over time, depending on the balance of births and death. If there are many deaths, the world's population will grow very slowly or can even decline. Population growth is measured in both absolute and relative terms. Absolute growth is the difference in numbers between a population over time. For example, in 1950, the world's population was 4 billion, and in 2000 it was 6 billion, a growth of 2 billion. For the relative growth is usually expressed as a rate of or a percentage. For example, in 2000, the rate of global population growth was 1.4%. For every 1,000 people in the world, 14 more are being added per year. So the next question is discuss the impacts of population growth on economic development. As you can see in the slide, there are 5 impacts of population growth on economic development in India. So the first one is overuse of natural resources. Rapid population growth tends to overuse the country's natural resources. This is particularly the case where the majority of people are depending on agriculture for their livelihood. With a rapidly increasing population, agricultural holdings become smaller and remunerative to cultivate. So there is no possibility of increasing farm production through the use of new land. Okay, the second one is per capita income. The growth of population tends to retard the per capita income in three ways, which are increasing the pressure of population on land. It leads to increase in cost of consumption goods because of the security of corporate factor to increase their supplies, and it leads to a decline in the accumulation of capital because with increase in family members, expenses increase. So these adverse effects of population growth on per capita income is operate more severely if the percentage of children in the total population is high. So the next one is agricultural development. Okay, so with the population growth, the land-man ratio is distribute. Pressure of population on land rises because land supply is unelastic. It adds to disguise unemployment and reduce per capita productivity further. As the number of landless workers increases, their wages fall. Thus, low per capita productivity reduce the propensity to save and invest. Okay, the next one is growth of population retards capital formation. Okay, as a population increases, per capita available income declines. People are required to feed more children with the same income. It means more expenditure on consumption and a further fall in already low saving and consequently in the level of investment. Okay, the last one, rapidly increasing population plunge the economy into mass unemployment and underemployment. As population increases, the proportion of workers to the total population rises, but in the absence of complementary resources, it is not possible to expand jobs. So that's all from me.
Hai, Assalamualaikum. My name is Fatin Dayana binti Mohammed Nordin. My metric number is 19BB03 Alright, first one is education. Okay, education will directly affect the economic growth. Okay, as it is very significant to boost up the human capital. Okay, so the production capacities of the economies in the countries is depend on different factors such as physical capital, technology, number of workers, and their quality. Alright, so the qualities are determined by the stock of knowledge, by the knowledge of the workers, by the skills of the workers, and by the habits of the workers. So, increasing in the educational levels will improve the human capitals directly. So, if the human capital is increases, then the productivity of the workers will also increases. Also, the economic output in the country will also increases. Okay, let us look at one of the example of the country, US, United States. Okay, during the last century, okay, United States grew very quickly. Okay, because of their embrace universal education earlier than other countries. So this embracement resulted in relatively more skilled workers. So in fact, okay, workers that can read and write are more productive than workers who cannot. Okay, let us say, okay, workers who have a master degrees or PhD degree in electrical engineering are more likely productive. Okay, furthermore, they will be more innovative. Okay, and they will make some more innovation which will drive to the economic growth. Moreover, okay, an educated workforce is also more able to accept and use the innovation, okay, that is generated by others. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you are the one who made the innovation or you are the one who used the innovation that created by others, that generated by others, as long as you are educated. Okay, you are educated, you know how to use it, okay, you know those skills, it will produce more output. So as we know, producing in more outputs will increase in economic growth. Okay, next, let us move to the how health will affect the economic growth of the nation. So in order to explain the relationship between health and economic growth, it is really necessary to understand, okay, the concept of the health in a broad sense. Okay, so health is not only about the absence of illness, it is the ability of people, okay, to develop their potential during their whole life. Health is an asset individual possesses. It has intrinsic value and instrumental value. So in terms of instrumental value, health impacts economic growth is in number of ways. For example, it reduces production losses due to worker illness. It increases the productivity of adult in a result of better nutrition. In fact, health affects, okay, economic growth directly through the labor productivity and the economic burden of the illness. So that's all from us. Thank you.